The Du Bois County Airport Authority takes another step towards solving issues with runway 9 at the Huntingburg Airport. Kerry Schneider brings us his weekly report from the Du Bois County Humane Society, and Inform featuring Hoosier Boys State attendee Race Jones. All of that and much more is up next here on 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. In your news, a Ferdinand man with an outstanding warrant in Orange County was taken into custody yesterday morning. Huntingburg police received a tip at about 8 a.m. yesterday morning that 35-year-old Jeremy Sheppers of Ferdinand, wanted on a theft warrant in Orange County, was going to be in town between 8 and 10 a.m. yesterday morning. Police located Sheppers traveling southbound on Chestnut Street and pulled him over near 17th and Chestnut at about 8:30 a.m. yesterday morning. At that time, police advised Sheppers that a warrant was outstanding for his arrest. Sheppers was taken into custody without incident and was lodged in the Du Bois County Security Center. He was later taken to the Orange County line to be transferred to Orange County authorities. Jasper police are seeking the public's help in solving a pair of vehicle vandalisms that took place sometime Sunday evening or early yesterday morning. Police were contacted by Ralph Kiefer in reference to two vehicles of his that were parked in front of his residence. Police say that the paint on the driver's side of each vehicle was scratched with a sharp object. It is possible that both vehicles were keyed. Damage is estimated to be at $2,000 total, $1,000 for each vehicle. Anyone with information about the damages is asked to call Jasper Police at 482-2255 or the anonymous tip line at 481-COPS. Last night, the Du Bois County Airport Authority received a further update from Chris Snyder of Wolpert Incorporated concerning the tree problem inhibiting planes from landing on runway 9. A grove of trees planted near the airport's towers years ago has now sprouted up to the point where some pilots are not able to land at night. The DCAA is seeking an easement on approximately 3 acres of land owned by Maple Bartle that the trees are on. The easement would allow the DCAA to cut down the trees so that pilots can make a straight approach to runway 9 at night. Bartle would still own the land unless interest was shown in selling it. At last night's meeting, the DCAA approved a contract for Phase 1 project work to be done by Wolpert Incorporated at a cost of $14,170. On top of that cost, the airport will be paying $3,740 out of its own pocket for an appraisal, review appraisal, and tree appraisal on the easement area. DCAA President Michael Cummings says the airport is not using federal money for the project at this point, but is setting itself up to get money from the FAA in the future. He says that though Phase 1 is due diligence, the airport board has to ensure that there won't be any snags with the project.
Phase 1 is really due diligence on a property to make sure that there are no glaring environmental concerns. We don't think there would be on a residence, but for a gas station or something like that, you would want to make sure that you understand at least what the historical uses of the property are, and if there's been any presence of pollutants or contaminants at the property. And so the Phase 1 do that due diligence, and a lot of that will just be deed research and that kind of stuff, make sure there's no historical environmentally hazardous uses.
Cummings says moving forward with the Wolpert contract at last night's meeting was an important step towards solving the issues on runway 9.
Well, what we're trying to do is get our conditions off the west end of our runway such that night landings would no longer be impacted by these trees. Currently, we've got some landing restrictions on the west end of the runway there, and that's really what it's all about, is just restoring the functionality of the runway by getting those trees removed, eliminating the obstacles.
A formal easement acquisition offer is anticipated to be put together in time for the October 14th Du Bois County Airport Authority meeting, with a possible agreement being finalized in December. Snyder says it's an aggressive timeline that has the potential to change, pending how long negotiations on the easement acquisition last. Also last night, airport manager Travis McQueen gave an update on the condition of the pilot that was injured in the crop duster crash at the Huntingburg Conservation Club back on July 19th. 53-year-old John Lane of Danville stood up for the first time this past week, according to McQueen. McQueen noted that Lane had kneecaps and hips, among other bones, replaced following injuries suffered in the crash. McQueen also recommended that more training for airport staff on emergency response, such as the July 19th crash, should take place so that more staff are adequately prepared to respond to whatever problems may arise. Finally, last night, McQueen reported that the airport's budget will remain relatively unchanged from a year ago. The budget now moves ahead to the Huntingburg City Council. Finally this evening, the U.S. Department of Agriculture expects Indiana corn farmers to rebound from a dismal crop last year by producing nearly 1 billion bushels this year. In its first look at expected harvests this year, USDA's National Agricultural Statistics Service forecasts that Indiana farmers will produce about 980 million bushels of corn, compared with fewer than 600 million bushels of corn last year. The forecast Monday also projected a record national corn crop of 13.8 billion bushels. Purdue Extension agricultural economist Chris Hurt says the larger crop will mean lower food prices. USDA expects Indiana soybean growers to produce more than 260 million bushels, which would be up from about 224 million bushels last year. Coming up after the break, Kerry Schneider brings us his weekly report from the Du Bois County Humane Society, plus your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform with Hoosier Boys State attendee Race Jones. That's all up next here on 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.